Bowman's Rail are caught between the desert and the deep blue sea.
Ships won't wait for anybody. Time's money, as the saying goes.
Shifting sand against a tide of trains.
It gets pretty frustrating when you've got a 5,000 tonne train and you're continually slowing down.
Dawn, Broken Hill, New South Wales. Bowman's Rail is desperately trying to load 100 containers carrying 4,000 tonnes of mineral sands. The freight, worth $2 million, must be hauled across the outback to be exported overseas to make paint and plastics. The ship leaves tomorrow morning. The plan is to get to the port tonight. Right now, the race is on to get ready for departure.
It's a job of high pressure. The product's got to be down at the port well in advance of the vessel. We're running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so there's definitely a lot of other trains out there on the network, a lot of traffic.
CEO Scott Mackay needs to stay on schedule or risk losing the lucrative haulage contract with Crystal Mining.
The precision with which they put the containers onto the wagons makes it quite a difficult manoeuvre and can really add to the time the train takes to load. Yeah, it certainly takes a bit of experience to get the boxes on and off properly.
All right, thanks, mate. We just want to chat about getting the material down to the port.
And now the severe desert climate is creating problems with the track.
With our trains, we're running 160 hours out of a possible 168 hours a week. And with the extreme conditions out in Broken Hill between night and day, you get the expansion of the rail and breaks in areas. And with the current speed restrictions, there's 27 between here and the port, which is putting a lot of pressure on us turning those trains around in the 160-hour week, which is required.
From Broken Hill, the fully loaded train will make a 600-kilometre run, passing through the Bowman's Rail Hub in South Australia, and finally onto Port Adelaide. At last, the 5,000-tonne train is ready, but it's too late for its designated departure time. When Scott informs train control, the news gets worse.
So we'll head back to the office, and so past 11:30, crewing at 10:35.
It's now a 2-hour wait until their next departure window. The drivers are briefed.
We've got ship waiting at the port. Obviously, we've got 3,750 odd tonne on, and the best we can do to get this train back on path today, hopefully get the material to the port before this vessel sails.
Because they've missed their original slot, the Bowman's team have lost priority and will face additional delays down the line.
2.25 hours later than the original path. So the impact of that is that we will be having to work around other trains on the network. We're really at the beck and call of the train control to get us through in a reasonable time frame.
Yeah, mate, train crew's just arrived. They're on their way.
Gun drivers Craig Johns and David Loresala will be at the controls of a CM-class loco, supported by a GL class, combining to provide 7,000 horsepower.
How many crosses? Fair income. Okay, so it's going to be a long trip.
They're only at the start line of the race to port, but with heavy traffic on the track ahead, the odds are already against them.
Train number 5100, loco number CM333.
On the outskirts of Broken Hill, the Bowman's 900-metre mineral sands train is still waiting to begin its outback mission, now 2 hours behind schedule. Ahead, a 600k journey to port to deliver a 4,000-tonne payload worth over $2 million.
At the moment we have a vessel at the port waiting for this material, and that vessel needs to go on time. Of this 3,750 tonne train, we've still got about 2,500 tonne of that material that needs to go straight from the train onto the vessel.
Craig and Dave are itching to go, but having missed their original departure, they've lost their priority path. They'll now need clearance from track control every step of the way.
Right, that might be train authority number 2,
date is 19/6/17. You'll be right with that one, right, open up, get going.
Authority reads, work as required between Cananda siding.
But there's been a mix-up.
Right, mate, the train authority is cancelled.
Yeah, don't open up just yet, mate. They've got us to cancel this authority.
They cancelled it, mate. What was going there?
They'd made a mistake with one of the locations.
Dave has been given some wrong information. He now has to rewrite the authority.
Righto, Dave, points are set to the main line. You're right to come on out.
Here we go. Yeah, mate, we've got the okay to open up. We'll get the show on the road, buddy. Whenever a train authority is issued or received incorrectly, it has to be immediately cancelled and reissued.
At last, the locos start to pull. But with heavy traffic ahead, there's little chance of making up time.
With 4 crosses on the way, we're going to be pretty slow running today.
And it's a temperature-vulnerable track.
When it's cold in the morning, the track's just contracting that much and pulling apart, just snapping. So we've been inundated with 20-kilometre speed restrictions and had to be ushered over a few of them. It's pretty frustrating when you've got a 5,000-tonne train and you're continually slowing down for speed restrictions. So it's up to 80, down to 20 and all over the shop. And overall, it just increases the time that you're running down the track.
But they have to stop completely for oncoming trains and signal that they're safely off the main line.
Got to push this one for the crossing loop. Here they come now. Thought they'd be kind enough to turn their high beam down for us, but anyway. We're going to just stand outside the 3-metre mark as they come past. Roll by is good there, 2Y and 2.
As they slowly build up speed again, another unwelcome call from train control. This time ordering a stop 40 k's away at the small town of Peterborough to let 3 more trains pass.
Getting put away in the crossing loop at Peterborough. And we've got 3 crosses there, the last 3 opposing trains up for our day, which is probably going to take maybe an hour and a half, something like that. So we just keep our fingers crossed that after we get through Crystal Brook, we've got a straight run down to the port.
It's out of our hands. Go along with the situation and just plod along as best we can.
Get out the cricket bat and ball and waste some time, I suppose.
The sun is almost touching the horizon as Dave and Craig pull off the main line and begin their wait.
It's probably one of the most enjoyable parts of the job. The kids in the parks, as you go past, give you a wave, and they're always asking you if you want to give the horn or two for them. They get a real buzz out of it. It's good.
But kids of a different kind are causing trouble up ahead.
Something might be wrong.
Don't just like to report that. Whether I might want to try and get the police around to show them out the line.
Yeah, not good.
No worries, thanks, Dave.
Got kids on the platform down there.
Yeah, it's rock on the track as well. Carrying up.
Teenagers have climbed onto the track and put rocks on the rails. Until they've cleared the line, trains are at risk of derailment.
Any idea on their age at all?
Probably young teenagers.
Only halfway to their destination, it's another unwanted delay. If they miss tomorrow's ship, Bowmans could lose their client, because their client will be losing money.
Probably young teenagers. Yeah, it's rock on the track as well. You know, it's scary enough to get on the platform
In South Australia, the mineral sands train is at a standstill. Up ahead, a group of teenagers have put rocks on the tracks with the potential to derail an oncoming train.
Yeah, I'll just get a hold of PS6 now in regards to those kids and possibly police. I'll get back to you with another train authority shortly.
Station workers have been sent in to remove the obstacle. And the kids. But it's not the risk of derailment that bothers Dave the most.
Probably your worst thing that could ever happen to you is clean up a kid, a young school kid or something. Had a few close shaves in my time, and it's not done put you in a good frame of mind for a while. Just lucky he didn't clean them up this time, so all's good. And we can sit back and wait for the next two trains to come through. Hopefully it won't be that long.
The incident has delayed the oncoming trains that Dave and Craig must wait for. Still 300 kilometres from port, arriving tonight, ahead of the ship's departure tomorrow, is in serious doubt.
I've just got a bit of TLC and we'll carry on from there, mate.
And 200 kilometres down the track at Bowman's own rail hub, terminal manager Steve Guy is desperately clearing freight from the tracks.
All right, Daniel, whenever you're ready, you can pull her up, mate.
To make way for the 5,000-tonne sand train when it passes through on its way to port.
Pretty tight schedules. Time's money is the same days. It's got to be down there at a certain time. Ships won't wait for anybody.
It's going to be pretty tight.
If the ship leaves without them, Bowman's will be caught holding 4,000 tonnes of desert sand.
Hang on, Frank, we're still moving, champ.
At Bowman's rail hub in South Australia, terminal manager Steve Guy is racing to load a hay train
4 to go, Daniel.
and clear the way for the 5,000-tonne mineral sands train to get through quickly and onto the port by nightfall.
We've got a certain time limit, and they'll have a schedule with ARTC that will get them back out on the track and on their way to Outer Harbour.
He's counting on loaders like Dan Gregor to work fast.
Is that last one on the pad, Dan?
Yep, you're pulling up now, mate. I think we'll fit it on.
All right, Daniel, whenever you're ready, you can pull her up, mate.
Over 1.3 million tonnes of freight from across Australia is handled here every year. With the hay finally loaded and ready to go, the path is clear for the mineral sands train.
You're all safe. Thanks, buddy.
But 200 kilometres north, Craig and Dave can't make the most of it. They're still grounded, waiting for another train to pass.
Well, we've got another half hour at least sitting there, but yeah, they're going to be under the hammer.
Thanks, fellas.
As the last of the oncoming trains finally passes, they're on their way.
Trains coming over from Perth have got in our way a bit today, slowed us down sort of thing, so we've got to get the trains back on schedule for the rest of the week. We haven't had a very good run today. We've copped a lot of traffic this side, which has slowed us down on the northern side of the track. We've copped even more speed restrictions due to broken track. We seem to be getting pushed further and further behind schedule.
Because of the delays, it's become impossible to make the port tonight. The men have reached their 10-hour driving limit.
Heard from the boss, relieved at Bowman's tonight. We'll have the train back early tomorrow morning.
They'll have to park up in the Bowman's hub, still 100 kilometres from the port. To make the vessel in time tomorrow, it will be an early start.
Pick the train up in the morning at about 4:30 or so, and the boss wants the train back on the track at 5 in the morning. Hopefully we don't encounter as many crosses as we've had today.
A.m. the following morning, and the boys race to get to port.
Got that 40 coming up at the 116,500.
If the ship has sailed, the unhappy client could cut ties with Bowman's.
And why shouldn't we finish up with yet another speed restriction? So we just do what we can, keep the train running to the right speed, but if you don't run safe, you don't get your load to where you want to go if something goes wrong, and we don't want that.
After one final cross,
You guys are up to speed, but not much there, Paula.
they've made it with the ship still in port, and the team can celebrate another successful delivery.
All in all, it's been a pretty good run. Can't do much about the rail schedule sometimes, cop the good with the bad, but still one of the best jobs on the face of the planet, and I wouldn't do anything else for Queensland.
And as the 4,000 tonnes of mineral sands are loaded onto the ship, Bowman's sand train heads back inland to load up and do it all over again.